Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
Long road trip starts tonight in Milwaukee. Miller Park with the roof wide open. Marlins and Brewers, a weekend series. The Brewers hit 6 home runs last night in a win over Cincinnati. This is a great hitter's park, by the way. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollingsworth. Welcome to Milwaukee. You're a hitter. You played here. Great place to hit, and both these teams have a lot of power.
Yeah, they sure do. I'll tell you what, this Brewers team has really been hitting the long ball, particularly this month, particularly in this ballpark, Miller Park. Tons and tons of home runs. This is how they do it, top to bottom in the lineup. Starting shortstop yesterday, hit 2 home runs in Cincinnati. Yeah, they hit 6 yesterday, oh, by the way. So here's the challenge. Can the team that gives up the fewest home runs, that's right, the Marlins give up the fewest home runs, stop the team that loves to hit the long ball in the Brewers?
Well, I'll take that a step further. That was the carnage last night in Cincinnati. You talk about giving up a few home runs. Well, the Marlins as a staff give up, as you noted, the fewest. And the starter tonight, Edinson Volquez, he's at the top of the list. He's only given up 7 home runs this year.
He's done a fantastic job of keeping the ball in the yard. We talk about the sinker. How about that changeup down in the zone? One thing you got to keep your eye on tonight, though, are the walks. They've been an issue over his last few starts. He's gotten himself into some trouble. So what do we know? He can get himself in and out of trouble. But remember, this is a home run hitter's ballpark and a team that likes to hit him. But he's got to be better, more efficient with his pitches.
Quickly, why is this a great hitter's park?
Well, the ball just seems to fly here. You got good visuals. Most things that you notice here, the backdrop for the hitters is fantastic. And you see it right there. Matty Garza getting loose. He'll be going up against the Marlins tonight. He's had some issues with the long ball as well. Has given up 7 of the 8 here at Miller Park.
All right, so ready to go. The Marlins are here in Milwaukee, then to St. Louis, then to San Francisco. Everybody on this ball club says need to make a push before the All-Star break. That push needs to start tonight. And tonight, Giancarlo, Marcell Ozuna, Justin Bour, they're all here in Milwaukee. Great place to hit. Coming up, Stanton, the hitter, not the slugger. Miller Park ready to go, Marlins and Brewers. Let's start this thing and go down on the field with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey there, Rich. Giancarlo Stanton fresh off of his 21st home run of the season. Look, we know that he has power. We watch him hit bombs all the time. But one thing that Stanton has said all year long is that he doesn't just want to be known as a slugger. He wants to be known as a hitter as well. And he feels like he's showing people that so far this season.
The difference between a hitter and a slugger is pretty much all or nothing, I'd say. Hitter, you got to download the information of the game, what's going on, what's the pitcher trying to do. I've given away a lot of at-bats previous years, this year as well, but I feel like this year has been the least at-bats, just completely given away, and just got to keep it going.
Well, he's had that in the past. He's been around, a guy around 300 or flirted with it, and a guy that I think is capable of hitting for a higher average, which basically says he wants to use the whole field, take his hits, takes what the pitcher gives at time, not always thinking about trying to hit the ball in the ballpark. I think that leads back to making sure he's getting himself good pitches to hit.
One thing Mattingly has also said about Stanton, he has seen much more consistent and much more disciplined at-bats this year. Stanton right now at a 274 average. He has also driven in 50 runs. And hey, one thing Giancarlo Stanton loves, he loves doing those fun handshakes in the dugout with his teammates. It is National Handshake Day. Yeah, that's right. The Marlins have such unique handshakes, a lot of them generated by Marcell Ozuna and Ichiro. You see them having fun right there. When we return, the Marlins will get game one of a 10-game road trip underway. It's the Fish and the Brewers. It's Edinson Volquez versus Matt Garza. First pitch is coming up next.
Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance events. By the Florida Department of Transportation. Drive sober or get pulled over. By Supercuts. Save time. Check online with our mobile app at supercuts.com. And by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Glorious sunshine, and that's the forecast for this weekend in Milwaukee. Miami's lineup to open up this series, facing Matt Garza tonight. Southwest brings it to you. D. Gordon in the leadoff spot. Giancarlo Stanton will hit second. Christian Yelich is in center field and back in after a night off. Marcell Ozuna hitting cleanup. Justin Bour slotted 5th. JT Realmuto in the 6th spot. A night off for Martin Prado, so Derek Dietrich against the righty gets the start. JT Riddle hits 8th, and Edinson Volquez hits 9th.
On the mound for the Brewers, Matt Garza. Here comes your Auto Nation scouting report. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, productive returns. Well, he's off to a solid start here in 2017 for Garza. Now, the last 2 seasons, not so much. Remember, it was only a few seasons ago he signed a 4-year, $50 million deal. Actually, prior to 2014. 5 trips to the DL. Well, he's being productive this year, so they're thrilled. Stick to the heat. This is for Marlins hitters. Now, batting average against that 4-seam fastball, .345, a .621 slugging percentage. 12 extra base hits. That's what they're going to be looking for. He does have a good slider, curveball, and change. Batting average against those pitches under .250. And running situations, you can always run on Matt Garza. You can run on Vogt as well. Base stealers 7 for 7 against Garza on the season.
D. Gordon climbs in, so sounds like it could be a good weekend for D. Gordon in terms of running. The Brewers run a lot. They're an interesting combination of power and speed.
I'll add athleticism. They're a very good, very athletic team for the most part as well.
First of 3, here we go. Gordon in the box, Garza ready to go. And the 33-year-old throws a fastball down low. And Gordon bounces it out to second. Jonathan Villar on to first. 1 pitch, 1 out. And here's the defense for the Brewers. Bernie, ladies and gentlemen, welcome him to the telecast.
Hopefully he's part of the defense as well. Hit Bernie. Here you go. Perez gets the start in left field. Broxton back in center field. He had the day off yesterday. Santana over in right. Shaw, boy, is he having a fantastic season. Sogard, Villar, Aguilar, Vogt, Garza. Well, voting actually closed, so don't vote Garza, but I think it closed last night at midnight.
That's
so
right.
Voting's done, but vote in Garza.
All-Stars to be announced on Sunday.
Yes.
Garza gets a strike on Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton climbs in with 21 homers. His 21st came last night. Miami losing 6-3 last night to the Mets. A frustrating loss. Stanton with a 1-1 count. Of course, this ballpark, this batter's box, 3 years ago, the side of just that horrific beating in which Stanton was hit in the face. Mike Fiers, who's no longer with the Brewers, now with the Astros. And always remember the terrific response by the emergency crew, the physicians and the doctors at the local hospital here. 3 home runs in his career in this ballpark. 17 games. Garza, one of those guys, when you talk to hitting coaches or get a scouting report on, sometimes it doesn't center around stuff. Sometimes it centers around him just trying to get out of his own way.
Well, it's interesting because you look at his arsenal and he's got 5 pitches and 4 of them are really pretty good pitches, particularly his secondary stuff. But you see the slider right there, willing to go back to it. That's his #1 pitch right now. He also has a big slow curving curveball, a changeup. As I mentioned, the keys to the game tonight. His fastball is what at times gets teed off on. In fact, he's given up almost all of his homers against the 4-seam fastball. But his secondary pitches, they're pretty good. In fact, all 3 of them, hitters are hitting .250 and under against those pitches. So it kind of tells you, his makeup. Sometimes he'll get in his own way. He doesn't like runners on first base. His batting average goes through the roof. You get a guy on first base, hitters are hitting .432 against him. What does that tell you?
Alan Porter calling balls and strikes. Calls that one ball 1. This is a unique ballpark in terms of lighting, with the windows that are up in both the third base and the first base side. Yelich smokes one into left field for a base hit. Brewers had 3 infielders on the right side. You don't often see teams with an extreme shift for Yelich, and this is why.
Certainly not. Elevated fastball. He uses the whole field. But he has been hitting a lot of baseballs to the right side of the infield, particularly on the ground, and that might be what they were attempting to defend right there, but got the elevated fastball and shot it the other way. Good piece of hitting here with 2 outs.
As you just saw, Joe West is at first, Hunter Wendelstadt, the umpire, at second, and John Libka is the umpire at third. Here's Ozuna standing in. Country Joe. And he takes a rip at a high breaking ball.
Well, speaking of Joe West, I ran across Bruce Fremming about 10 minutes ago. You've got two umpires, the 2 living umpires who have umpired over 5,000 games in their career. Bruce Fremming up here with me, and, well, Joe West over there at first base.
Marcell Ozuna likes this ballpark. Ozuna to right field, and that's deep in the corner. Santana at the wall, and he's got it. Ozuna to the wall, and the Marlins come up empty in the first. Unique, a big fan that spills out over the ballpark here in Milwaukee. And here are the Brew Crew tonight. It's brought to you by Southwest, the starting lineup. Eric Sogard's off to a great start at the top of the order. Jonathan VR had a home run, actually hit 2 of them yesterday in Cincinnati. Jesus Aguilar homered yesterday. Travis Shaw is in the cleanup spot, and he's tearing it up. Domingo Santana's in right. Hernan Perez is in left field. Stephen Vogt, Marlins saw him as an Oakland Athletic. Keon Broxton is hot, and Matt Garza hits 9th. And Edinson Volquez sets his sights on the Milwaukee Brewers. And of course, these are the first place Milwaukee Brewers by 1 game over their rivals, the Cubs.
Let's talk a little Edinson Volquez for a second. Has made more starts versus the Brewers than any other opponent in his career. 8-4 with a 4.15. Good numbers against them. You see the season right now, hot and cold at times. That's a little bit of everything. And right now, he did pick up a win his last time out versus the Cubs. Solid, I guess, when you look at the 5 innings, the 2 earned runs. Did throw 90 pitches. He's got to find a way to be a little bit more efficient. He's not gone more than 5 innings in his last 3 starts, and he's got a whip over 2.
And there's his first strike of the night. How about Eric Sogard? In 40 games, a 447 on base percentage. Look at that. And a 339 average. Lifts that one fouling out of play. Sogard, a longtime Oakland Athletic. Never really was a regular or the everyday starter, but a versatile infielder.
He's taking full advantage of a fresh new opportunity here with the Milwaukee Brewers, and he's a nice fit on a team that hits an awful lot of homers.
Yeah, patient guy, and is getting on base. And as a result of the homers behind him, scoring a lot of runs.
Well, if you were to ask Craig Counsell who do you think he kind of sees eye to eye with most on this roster, who would you pick out?
Well, he holds his hands a little lower.
Well, maybe so, but come on.
That's right.
There you go, Eric Sogard.
And he walks. And as you pointed out, the challenge for Volquez is try to be a little more efficient. Miami defensively behind Volquez tonight.
Let's take a look at this Marlins defense on this Friday night. Ozuna, Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, Dietrich getting the start over at third base, JT Riddle, D. Gordon, Justin Bour, JT Realmuto behind the plate, Edinson Volquez. Now, JT's going to have his hands full. We'll see. This Brew Crew club likes to run. They'll put some guys in motion. They'll take some chances. I'm sure JT's going to get tested a few times tonight.
There are some players on this Brewers team that I think a lot of Major League fans are not that familiar with. Jonathan Villar, the 26-year-old Dominican, saw some time with the Astros, lines it to center. Yelich is there, and he makes the catch. Villar is one of those guys. And then you get into the Jesus Aguilars, the Travis Shaws, the Domingo Santanas, Hernan Perez. And they may not jump off the page, but Shaw's hit 17 homers, Santana's hit 13, Perez has hit 10. Aguilar homered yesterday, and of course Villar, we noted, hit 2 homers yesterday.
Well, most of these Brewers have come up in somebody else's organization or got their first big league opportunity in somebody else's organization, so you can kind of play that card of new opportunity, fresh start, whether it's Sogard, Villar, Aguilar, even Travis Shaw. He was a Boston Red Sox last season, having an all-star caliber season this season.
Aguilar takes a strike.
Aguilar making his 27th start at first base this season. He's been on quite a tear here. Last 39 ball games, 326 average, 5 homers, 18 RBIs. See him in the 3-hole for a reason.
And of course, the headliner for this team is a guy that not many people were aware of coming into the season, and that's Eric Thames, who has the night off tonight. Thames has been manning first base. In fact, it's his second consecutive night off because he's slumping right now, even though he's having an all-star caliber season.
Right. And as it goes, actually went to manager Craig Counsell and said, I need to clear my head. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't, listen, I'm going to give you a couple days off coming from the manager. It's the player going to the manager, asking for some time to kind of get things back in line. Struck out 4 times on Wednesday. It's the second 4K game of the season, and he's been in a struggle. I mean, he's been in a slump. 3 for his last 37, 17 Ks over his last 10 ball games. So it all adds up. Let's not forget, he had an incredible April. What was it? 11 home runs he hit in the month of April. Caught everybody's attention, and he's cooled off, and he's kind of having to go through that readjusting.
Volquez behind again. And it's 2-1. Now Sogard at first has 3 stolen bases. Most of the Brewers' stolen bases come further down the order. Villar's got 14. Perez has swiped 8. Broxton 14.
The 8th spot in the lineup. Let's see how that one works.
Brewers led all of baseball in stolen bases last year, and they're on top of the National League right now. Aguilar behind first. Bour's out there. Gordon calls him off and misses it. They've got an out at second if they can get it, and they will. Justin Bour wasn't sure whether to backpedal or turn around, and he did neither. He kind of was side swimming his way out to the outfield, and Gordon didn't want to get run over by Bour. The good news is Miami got the out.
A lot of times what happens is you default to the most sure hands that are around you, and Justin Bour believes that they are in the hands of, well, D. Gordon. I would do the exact same thing. Once he realizes D's coming over, D actually has a better line to this, just wasn't able to come up with the catch. So Bour gets out of the way, but nice job reacting and getting the out at second base.
So it goes as a fielder's choice 4, and I guess technically it's a ground ball out for a ball that was popped up. Travis Shaw now. Shaw, who had a nice year in Boston last year, following it up this year with a really nice start here in Milwaukee. You see the .294 average. The slugging percentage jumps off the page, as does the 17 home runs.
Shaw really swinging the bat of late over the last week. 4 homers, 9 RBIs.
There are teams in baseball that oftentimes have a prototypical type player, right? A St. Louis Cardinal is all about fundamentals, can do a lot of everything. The prototypical Milwaukee Brewer is a guy that can slug.
I've had these conversations a few times today. We were going back to the county stadium days, to Miller Park, and the different types of Brewer teams that have been constructed. That is the one theme that has stood the test of time, whether it was County Stadium, Miller Park, many years ago in the 90s or early 2000s. Sluggers, sluggers, and more sluggers.
Gorman Thomas, Rob Deere,
Jeremy Burnitz, Dave Nielsen,
Richie Sexson, the big sexy.
Sexson, yeah.
On a swing and a miss by Shaw. It's 2-2.
Real nice changeup right there. Hitters count.
Look at that, 121 for Milwaukee. Washington 121. Mark Sweeney of FS1, who's calling the game tomorrow, will be by, and he'll join us in the 4th inning. And I think that's one of the topics we need to bounce off of him. He works in the FS1 studios. To right, Stanton back at the track, and he makes the catch. And Edinson Volquez navigates through that leadoff walk. Scoreless start.
Our scoops from the clubhouse brought to you by Car Soup. Manager Craig Counsell addressing the roster move. Jorge Lopez option backed to AAA Colorado Springs after pitching 2 innings last night in Cincinnati. So they have called up reliever Rob Scahill. Tyler Cravey also optioned to AAA. And Counsell said that really with Lopez, he says you feel bad when it is just 1 day, but said the 2 innings that he covered, he did his job by the bullpen not having to get anyone up. It's a big impact as they head into the weekend and also as they prepare for Monday. Counsell saying that in order to fill Chase Anderson's spot in the rotation, they are considering some internal options. They have 9 relievers in the pen, so he says the plan right now, take it day by day and see what that shakes out for Monday.
All right, Sophia, thank you. 9 relievers in the bullpen. Now, 4 of those pitchers in the bullpen have been starters this year, so there are options where you could run a guy out there who's been a starter, somebody like Paolo Espino or Brent Suter, maybe even Josh Hader. Although Hader seems unlikely because of his value in the high leverage situations late in games.
He's not stretched out quite at this point.
And Lopez with 2 innings yesterday and did a nice job finishing up Jimmy Nelson's win. And Scahill, he's been up a couple of different times, and Tyler Cravey, interesting move, taking him off the 40-man.
I believe that takes the Brewers to 82 transactions this season.
Right.
Garza facing Justin Bour, and he lines one into right center. That's going to be down for a hit. And the second hit for the Marlins is a single to right center.
I think the Brewers have 2 thoughts. I mean, one is a short-term, fix for the starting rotation, just trying to get into the All-Star break. I think they're going to need that starter, whoever starts on Tuesday. They're going to need 2 spots to get through the All-Star break. Probably the last day in New York, you're going to need that 5th starter. We'll see what they do. Maybe you get a bullpen game on Tuesday. They've got options.
Well, and what happens here in the next few days dictates what they're going to do with that spot too. If you get a position player injured and you might need an extra position player, or if you have a game where it takes a number of relievers to get through, or a long extra inning game, I don't blame the Brewers for not. They know what they want to do. Let's put it that way. They're just not ready to announce what they want to do, because no need to sound the alarms for all the individuals who it will affect until you have to. So that's standard. JT Realmuto, and he sends one into deep left center. That's going to be playable. Hernan Perez makes the catch, and the Marlins catcher is retired.
Hey, it's an interleague showdown over Independence Day as the Brewers welcome the Baltimore Orioles for a 3-game series this upcoming Monday through Wednesday. To reserve your spot at the Crew's 4th of July face-off with the O's, head to Brewers.com today.
Note the start times for each of those games: 1:10 on the 3rd of July, 3:10 4th of July, and then back to the 6:10 start on July 5th. So a little bit out of the ordinary for what you'd see midweek at Miller Park, but it's a holiday week.
I like day games.
Heck yeah, especially
would have been nice to have
on the
one
4th
yesterday.
of July.
Would have been nice to have one yesterday.
Yeah, by the way, who you got to call to make sure that never happens again? That was an early morning arrival for the Brew Crew. Not too bad though.
Now 1:30 at home.
Reds got what they deserved. An 11-3 loss. Derek Dietrich batting with 1 out. One of the 5 lefties in the starting lineup for Don Mattingly. Justin Bour at first. Garza's tempo slows considerably when runners are on base. Bour is not a stolen base threat. Aguilar not even holding him on here. And there's a jam shot foul and out of play. 1 stolen base for Bour if you're counting.
Yeah, you play behind, Bour, keeping him just close enough to Bour to not to allow him to get too big of a lead, and you're able to cover a little bit more ground with a left-hander Dietrich at the plate.
Garza pitching on the road in Atlanta last time out, took the loss, but he pitched okay in that game. He had a couple of shaky innings, and one of those innings was able to pitch out of it. He went 6. He gave up 3 earned runs. Most impressively for Garza, he didn't walk a batter. Just 94 pitches in those 6 innings, but the Brewers were down 3-1 at the time, and that was just one of those games the Brewers couldn't get the offense going and lost the game to the Braves 3-1. So Garza's lost back-to-back starts. His 3 wins this year have come against the Cardinals on the road, home against the Mets, and he beat the Braves here at home as well back in April. A swing and a foul tip. Did he hang on? They're checking. Did it hit the ground? And Alan Porter says it did hit the ground, and now Craig Counsell wants an explanation. Nobody really called it.
Yeah, nobody said anything. It looked like Porter was thinking it didn't hit the ground. It did.
And it was a foul tip. These are not reviewable, by the way. This came up in a game yesterday in the Cubs Nationals game. Dusty Baker actually got ejected. And when replay first was coming together and all the things that you could and or can and cannot see with the replay speeds available, foul tips were one of them. But that's kind of changed here in the last couple of years. And
well, with one like that, you could clearly see and hear that it was foul tipped and it hit the dirt.
Might be one to revisit on something that could be reviewable. I guess my opinion on it is if you can see it and it's available for replay, then go ahead and take a look.
Yeah, that and interference on the bases is not reviewable, especially that one where the runner is going down to first base. There's no reason why that shouldn't be reviewable. He's either in the running path or not, but we digress.
Let's get more replay, Rock. You're going down that road. I could sense it. 2-2 pitch. And a called strike 3. A little bit of a late call, but a ring up nonetheless. And strikeout number 2 for Garza.
Alan Porter giving a little bit off that outside corner. Just missed the outside corner. You can see it right there at 93, but too close to take with 2 strikes. Nobody has that good of an eye.
So 2 gone, runner at first. That was a leadoff single by Bohr. And here comes JT Riddle. Danny Echeverria was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. Marlins had some young prospects coming up. Riddle, one of them. So Echeverria is no longer with the Marlins. Very talented defensive shortstop. And they feel like they've got a couple of young pieces that are going to be able to carry the load for a while. Pretty good defensive team here with the Marlins. Good arms across the outfield. A lot of range in the infield. Good catcher.
No way they can play any better defense than the Reds did against Milwaukee. That was a defensive clinic, that series against Cincinnati.
Yeah, otherwise the Brewers had a legitimate chance to not just win the series, maybe sweep the series against Cincinnati.
And they took away a lot of runs with that defense.
2 balls and a strike. JT Riddle. 3 homers, 23 RBIs. This is the left-handed version of what will eventually be a platoon, you think, for a little time anyway. Two the count. Bohr still at first. And timeout is asked for by the catcher. Vote, I believe. I think he wanted to start this one over again.
Yeah, just trying to get a sense for what Garza likes to throw and when. The pattern of pitches. What he likes to go to. Inside, outside with a fastball. Breaking pitches.
See what he has in mind. 2-2 the count. And it's down and in. 3-2. Remember, the pitcher is coming up next. Got a young hitter at the plate. You'd love to have the pitcher lead off next inning, but you still have to make, as they say, your pitch as a pitcher. Full count, 2 outs. Bohr goes, and that's into left field, slicing, long run for Perez, and he'll run it down. Comes to a slide. That was fair territory. Could have been an extra base hit, maybe even a run. Beautiful play by Hernan Perez. Not bad for a shortstop. Hitting It's a beautiful night, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Here we go to the bottom of the second. We are scoreless. We have a special guest in the booth. Have two special guests, actually. Mark Atanasio, Brewers owner, and Zoe McNitt. And we're going to introduce you to Zoe and tell all of you about her great program and why we want to support her. But, Mark, this is really something that's near and dear for you. And as we get this inning started here, why don't you walk us through this process and how Zoe ended up on Brewers television tonight?
Yes, no one's more surprised than Zoe. She's on Brewers television.
We kind of sprung this on her, didn't we?
We did.
A little bit.
Kind of backed her into. She said, "I've never been on television." I said, "Well, here's your inaugural effort." So, you know, with all the excitement around the team, and we'll say it while we're here, while we're in first place. You notice they announced this as the first place Brewers. One of the things Debbie and I feel so good about is how the Brewers are part of the community and also the extended family of Brewers. So tonight we had Corey Harden's family here, and that felt great. Last night, Cecilia Gore hosted at her home an event for Sojourner Peace Center, which does, you know, wonderful work for families that have, you know, come under strain because of an act of violence. And tonight we have Tia's Hope, which Zoe is a board member and a founder of.
Santana with a soft liner to short for out number one. Continue, Mark.
And it's named after Zoe's mom, Tia Palermo, who's one of my wife Debbie's, you know, closest friends, who passed away from cancer about 5 years ago. Zoe.
Yep.
So the daughters wanted to do something in their mom's memory, and they thought about tying her memory to helping kids who've had serious illnesses and giving them something, you know, that's fun and hopeful and forward-looking to participate in.
There's a line drive, a base hit for Hernan Perez. Your first base hit on television.
So you're bringing.
Good job. You're already succeeding. You feel good? You feel confident?
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
You're bringing us good luck here, Zoe. Then they keep you up here.
Now, let me pick up the story a little bit with you, Zoe, because these memory moments, first of all, what an incredible thing to do for your mom in her honor, and the legacy that you're carrying on and taking what must have been an extremely difficult time, and I'm sure is still difficult, and turning into something that is so incredible. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about these memory moments and what you try to do and what your hope is for this project.
So beginning in 2012, since 2012 actually, we've impacted over 5,000 families through sporting events, gift bags, and holiday parties. And we try to create these memory moments, which were something that my mom used to tell us, you know, if there's something really special, you know, look around, remember it forever. It'll be a memory moment that you'll hold on to. And we hope that these are moments that these children, if they ever have to go back in the hospital, will, you know, be able to hold on to in times of need and in difficult times.
Is there a specific moment? Maybe you can give us a few examples that have touched you in a special way, or something that you can tell us about recently that has happened that you can share with our audience?
So at City of Hope, for instance, one of our partner hospitals out in LA, we did a holiday party there, and there was a child who had recently undergone surgery, and he wasn't wanting to interact, and he came out for one of our holiday parties, and the nurses said that this was the first time he had smiled since the surgery, and he didn't want to leave. We ended up having to close down, you know, eventually, and he stayed till the very end.
That's great. And Mark, your connection obviously is a familiar connection with Debbie, but what are some of the things that you'd like to see happen with Tia's Hope, and what's you know, as we open up a significant spotlight here tonight for Tia's Hope, what would you like to see from our audience, perhaps?
Well, first of all, I want to you know, thank our players today who stopped in to Travis Shaw, Eric Sogard, Corey Knebel, Brett Suter was out, and I'm forgetting. And Chase Anderson came, and once he'd had his you know, some of his injury stuff taken care of, you know, and you first of all, you see the looks on these kids' faces when they see these major league ball players, and more to the point, for each child who was there were 4 or 5 family members.
Vogt pulls one foul.
So you realize when children get ill like this, it affects an entire family, and the look on everyone's face today, I would say, Zoe, nobody wanted to leave today. And that was it's a really nice thing. Major League Baseball Players Association, by the way, has been very supportive of the this effort. So I don't know what is your website if someone wants to go on and learn more about the charity?
It is tiashope.org.
tiashope.org.
TIASHOPE, no apostrophe there. TIASHOPE.org. Tias Hope, and it's on the screen, and you can get involved. And as you connect to hospitals, that one's in the dirt. Perez is on the run. He'll make it without a throw. So the Brewers with a runner in scoring position on a wild pitch. And Zoe, give us an idea about all the hospitals that are involved, how you've grown since 2012, and where you hope to bring this. Do you have a ceiling for this project?
No ceiling. Our goal is that every year as we add hospitals, we never want to leave them. We want to stay with them, make sure that we've established our relationship and keep it going, till the end.
Where's the biggest need for you right now with this foundation? What would you say? Is it financial needs? Is it connecting to hospitals?
We always love donations. We're always open to hearing about adopting new hospitals, and we love volunteers.
Yeah.
And we've done things with Children's Hospital here. Which hospital? Children's Hospital, Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, yeah.
Nice
They're here tonight.
Nice to know a guy who owns a Major League Baseball team, too.
It's handy.
Especially when that team's in first place.
Yeah, right. Very happy owner.
By the way, to our fans, David Stearns cautions me it's one game at a time, but you can see I'm enjoying this.
You got there's a lot more to talk to Mark about, by the way, and I definitely want to spend some time on the Wall of Honor. We're going to hear from Corey Hart in a little bit. And Zoe, we want you to just go along for the ride here and enjoy a little Major League Baseball. You've done a great job so far for never being on television.
Thank you.
We hope we can raise a lot of funds. It's a pretty big voice for Major League Baseball. But Mark, before we move on, talk about some of the other things, I do want to just talk about the philanthropic aspect of your world, you and Debbie, and the things that you've done and why it's important to you. We have you up here with Michael Milken every year with prostate cancer research and PCF, and I know it's a really important piece of your ownership.
And one thing's the old adage that charity begins at home. We're very proud of the work Cecilia Gore has done at Brewers Community Foundation. We raise
vote into center, and this will be routine for Yelich, the second out. Go ahead, Mark.
We raise a couple $1 million every year through donations and frankly even through the 50-50 raffle.
Yeah.
Every night there's a lucky winner for. And we've been able to help on average 200 area charities in Wisconsin every year. So we feel very privileged to be able to help with that. One of the things I talk to the players about at the start of every year is giving back to the community and reaching out. And today was a good example, having 5 of our players come out to meet with some kids and families. That those families will remember that the rest of their life. And hopefully Eric Sogard and Travis Choi didn't miss too much of the players meeting that I have to go over the pitcher tonight.
Here's Keon Broxton, pitch in the dirt. So don't forget, it's tiashope.org, and we'd invite you to check that out. And if you're called to assist in any way, then Zoe would appreciate it. And again, Zoe, good for you. That's really what it's all about up here. And we do these games, and when we can shine a spotlight on somebody who's doing great things, we want to do that, and you're doing great things, so good job.
Especially, I'd say, a younger person. At least now for me, everybody's a younger person.
Let me ask you real quick, Mark, about Corey Hart being here. We're going to visit with him in a little bit. You've got your Wall of Honor sport coat on, and that means we have a new entry, and Corey Hart is that man. This
sport jacket is reminds me of some of the types of jackets Bob Uecker wore and Harry Doyle in Major League. And I break it out when we have a Wall of Honor induction. It was so touching to see Corey and his family. I don't know if you saw the press conference.
I did. But, it's great.
Got a little emotional, which was nice. So we've seen his kids grow up. His son's glasses have gotten much cooler now than he used to have when he was younger. And Corey was an important part of our team and an important part of the Brewers family.
Broxton bounces to short, and that will retire the side. Great job, Mark.
Great. Thank you,
Brian.
Thank you.
And Zoe, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Tias Hope, we're on it. It's on our window right now, and go.
In the third inning. Well, All-Star festivities are rapidly approaching in Miami, and the Marlins will have 2 minor leaguers that will represent them in the Futures game. Congratulations to Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp third baseman Brian Anderson and pitcher Tayron Guerrero, who will get to play in that event. Just a reminder, that game is scheduled for Sunday, July 9th at 4 p.m. And guys, it's always fun to get a good look at up-and-coming players, not just in the Marlins system, but around Major League Baseball.
All right, there'll be a certain Marlin who'll probably be watching from afar for that Futures game. Nick Gordon, Dee's younger brother, out of the Twins organization in that game. Volquez, a slow, lazy chop to Shaw, and he throws him out. Matt Garza, a pitch and an out here in the third inning. And here comes Dee Gordon. So congratulations to the Gordon family and to Nick. That's a really cool game. And if you're looking for an event to go to for an All-Star game and you want to come down and see Marlins Park and all the All-Star buzz, that Sunday, that Futures game is a really good one to go see. You will see guys in that game that you will see in the major leagues in a very short time.
There's a young Marlins fan.
Garza misses down low. Gordon bounced out back in the first. And as Todd noted, this is a formula, or I guess a recipe. If D gets on, he can run here with the combination of Garza and Vogt. Ball and a strike.
Fortunately for the Marlins, first time through, Justin Bour, not your prototypical base stealer, although he does have a stolen base on the season.
Gordon, little dribbler. Garza has it, underhands, and gets the out. The other thing you need to check out during All-Star Week is Fan Fest, 7th through the 11th. It's an interactive baseball theme park. Tickets and more information are at allstargame.com. FanFest is filled with former Major League stars, Hall of Famers, baseball personalities. I'll be there on that Monday hosting the town hall with the commissioner. You get a chance to ask the commissioner, hey,
yeah, FanFest.
Why don't we do this in baseball?
Right. FanFest is it's like a big version of a demo den.
That's right, one big demo den.
You know our demo den. It's letting all the Hall of Famers and pros teach you a thing or two about the game.
That's right. They'll have hitting cages and instruction going on. Stanton fouls that one back to the screen. Ball and a strike. And 2 quick outs here in the top of the 3rd. Here we are talking about home runs. That was the subject at the outset of the telecast. And we've got a scoreless game in the 3rd on a day where Major League Baseball set a new mark for most homers in a month.
Of course.
Stanton a chopper, 3 infielders over there. And he's out by less than a step. 1, 2, 3, 3rd for Miami. Brought to you by T-Mobile. The Washington Nationals dealt a blow. Trey Turner took one on the right wrist, very similar to the ball that hit Giancarlo Stanton in Pittsburgh, and he is out with that fractured right wrist. Corey Kluber, 5-1, beat the Rangers. 46 strikeouts in his last 4 starts. And Cody Bellinger will accept the Derby invite if his father Clay, the former major leaguer, will pitch. I would think Dad would say yes.
That's an awful lot of pressure. How about that question? I wonder if he asked it privately first before asking it publicly. I'm sure he did, right?
I would think he would know the answer to it before he threw that out there. But maybe if Dad was on the fence, that will get him off the fence and get him to pitch at the Derby.
Well, if he doesn't, I can't imagine the level of heat that would come down on Clay.
Well, that Derby, Giancarlo Stanton is the only one that has, to my knowledge, formally accepted the invite. We know Aaron Judge got an invite. On MLB.com, Anthony Castrovince has an article where he polled some players as to who they'd like to see in the Derby. Riddle with time, and he gets him. Garza thought he had a hit. Great play by Riddle to stay with that ball.
As a hitter, you start to smell it. All you gotta do is watch Joe West right there. He'll give it to you. Interior of the glove, just before.
Boy, you know, you love to see guys running hard, but every manager, when that happens, holds his breath. And the other night we saw Robert Gesellman of the Mets in that similar situation, strain a hamstring.
Matt Garza's been on the disabled list 5 times as a Brewer.
Here's Eric Sogard. Anyways, the active players receiving votes from the players who And it's not, look, this doesn't affect who gets the invite, but it is interesting to see who the players want to see in the home run derby. Aaron Judge got 11 votes. Giancarlo Stanton got 10. Joey Gallo 3. Cody Bellinger is tied with 2 others who got 2 votes each. You'd be surprised who the third guy is in that group. Bellinger, Bryce Harper, and Ichiro. And I'm telling you, having seen him in Seattle and in 3 years as a Marlin, if Ichiro were in the home run hitting contest, he could easily win it. He has just as good a shot at winning it as anybody else in the derby. And people will say you're nuts, but if you've ever watched Ichiro take batting practice, he can sit there and pump balls into the right field seats at will.
Take a look at this changeup working down in the zone.
It's like it just caught the knees and the black of the plate.
There's been a little give and take out there on that outside corner. I don't blame Volquez or Garza for continuing to search. How much more can they go out and get? I'd throw in an Altuve.
That would be fun.
That to me, because I've seen him do it up close and personal, how far he can hit a baseball, which I think is so entertaining. I mean, not only would I vote for Altuve to do it, I would like for Altuve to go right after Judge. First Judge, then Altuve right after him.
Logan Morrison, I think, is a guy, especially at Marlins Park with the porch in right field.
He knows,
I think
he knows how Marlins Park operates.
It was at last year's home run derby that Barry Bonds, then the Marlins hitting coach, was trying to convince everybody that Ichiro could win the derby from what Bonds had seen just in half a season. On the dirt, and it's 2-2.
You watch him get into one of his grooves, and there's no argument. Nobody hit. I mean, unless you've seen it. I've seen it. You've seen it, and that's really what we're getting at. You know, he's not going to hit home runs from the right field foul pole to the left field foul pole. But if you continue to pump him on the inner third part of the plate and get it above the knees, about thigh high, he'll hit 15 in a row.
A swing and a miss. VR strikes out. Both pitchers looking sharp in Milwaukee. Scoreless. Miami and Milwaukee. Speaking of home run derby, you can do it. You can be in the home run derby. It's the official MLB.com home run derby game on the App Store and Google Play. Swing for the fences with more than 10 million players from around the world. And you can be your own favorite Derby All-Star. Download Home Run Derby for free today. Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, and Justin Boyd. Matt Garza has been economical and efficient, giving up just 2 singles. Struck out 2, hasn't walked anybody. Had 3 ground ball outs in the 3rd inning.
Well, do your best if you're a Marlins hitter to try and get Garza up. He's been pitching very effectively to the lower half of the zone.
This is always a really good place to watch a game for a fan and to call a game as a broadcaster. It's one of those ballparks that just has a great buzz to it. And I'm not talking about the immense amount of beer that they consume here at Miller Park, which they do.
On a Friday night.
This may be the most beer drinking crowd in all of baseball, but the buzz of the crowd, it's a good, lively crowd. They, even despite their struggles on the field, continue to draw pretty well. Last year, 2.3 million, and even that was their lowest since 2005. They were 73 and 89 last year after a 68 win in 2015. Yelich to left. Perez is out there. We haven't talked about Ryan Braun yet. He's not in the lineup. There you go. That's double barrel. There he is, former Miami star. Braun off the DL earlier this week. Played in Cincinnati.
A couple home runs in Cincinnati. Just a day off for Braun. Expect to see him at some point in this series. Nothing wrong with him.
It's an amazing thing last night. Milwaukee hit 6 homers against the Reds. Braun, Pena, VR hit 2. Aguilar and Santana homering as well. And they didn't get one from Eric Thames because Thames had last night off as well. Ozuna takes down low, and Thames absolutely wrecked the Reds in April. He had 11 April homers, and 8 of them came against Cincinnati.
He was locked in April, a little unlocked here in June, trying to find that stroke. Strikeouts have been piling up for him. It doesn't really matter who he's facing right now, whether it's the Reds or not, unable to get that stroke down.
Ozuna fouls it back. Speaking of homers, in this ballpark, Marcell Ozuna, starting play, had played in 13 games here and had 12 hits in 47 at bats. Now that's a .255 average. But of the 12 hits, 8 have gone for extra bases, 7 home runs.
7 homers, 9 RBIs, I believe. Do the math.
He was going to fire at that, and he holds up. In fact, when he walked up to the cage to hit, Pat Murphy, the bench coach of the Brewers, was still there. And Murphy saw Ozuna and said, I know why you're smiling. You're back in Milwaukee. Because he has seen the damage firsthand that Ozuna has done. 3-1.
Well, his batting practice had a little something extra to it today. Quite a show. Matt Garza to the breaking ball on a 3-1 pitch. In ways, that's the way Ozuna's been attacked here now over about the last week. He's been seeing an awful lot of breaking balls.
Hammers that breaking ball into left field. That's one of the things, as you see the progress of Ozuna as a major league hitter. In years past, he could miss a pitch like he did for the second strike and then miss it again. But now he'll miss that pitch once in at bat.
You start to learn. You start to realize that there's patterns. They're throwing the same pitch. It was in a hitter's count. You throw it 3-1. Well, goodness, you're going to throw it 3-2, right? Because of the bad swing, because of the breaking ball down in the dirt. Well, that was much more hittable. I'll take it a step farther. What's impressed me so much with Ozuna, typically, I know this last week maybe isn't the best example, taking the walks on those pitches. You'll see that breaking ball down in the zone again, and he'll lay off it the second time.
Ozuna at first. Bohr singled. A line drive to right. That was back in the second. Well, the ball does carry well in this ballpark, especially when it warms up. What else about this park makes it a comfortable place for hitters?
Oh, it's the best backdrop in all of baseball for a hitter. The eyes that Justin Bohr, he's got Matt Garza on the mound. He sees his release point. It's nothing but black and dark green behind him.
Bohr reaches out. Shaw, and the turn by Sogard gets the double play. Everybody coming up empty so far. Marlins and Brewers tomorrow are on FS1. You'll find them there at 3:30 Eastern. Game 2 of the weekend set. Todd Hollinsworth and I will be glued to our televisions, watching and calling the game for FS1, along with Aaron Goldsmith, as Mark Sweeney of the Padres.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, man.
And
Ollie,
of
everything good?
FS1.
Yeah,
we see you in the studio.
Studio stuff. The guys at the studio, incredible work. Obviously behind the scenes, as you guys know. When the guys behind the scenes do the work, we actually feel a little more comfortable, don't we?
Yes, an enormous clothing budget, it looks like, in the studio.
They put a pocket square in me a little bit. It's a little intimidating. I'm not a pocket square guy.
Right.
So it's a
well-oiled machine.
Jesus Aguilar chases. Well, you've watched 4 innings of this one. And both Edinson Volquez and Matt Garza, guys who are veterans of the battles to the National League Central, are throwing zeros up.
Yeah, it's always good to see Volke, especially too, because we had him in San Diego, where I do most of our work with Fox Sports San Diego. And when you see Volke, and you guys know, when he slows the game down a little bit, obviously the no-hitter this year after he got injured, when he slows the game down and mechanically he's right, he can dominate any lineup, and he can punch out those. You get a lot of punch outs. The changeup he falls in love with, but it's good to see Volke because he's one of those guys that you love to see perform and go out there and really go out there and at his craft.
He's a pitcher and an artist.
Yes, he is.
He's easy to root for. His teammates love playing behind him as well. And you made that great point. Rich talks about it all the time. The injury. He actually hit first base back early in the game and twisted his ankle and ends up going out and throwing the no-no because, as you just said, slowed down, got into rhythm, got into when he's right and when he's off. And we talk about this an awful lot. His command sometimes leaves him. I think it was 14 walks coming into tonight's ball game. A little bit of an issue, but gets a little too fast, you would say?
Holly, it's interesting. Darren Balsley, a pitching coach in San Diego, had Edison Volquez at a time where they had to reshape his mechanics at times and corral it, that you guys talk about all the time with his strike throwing. He said something interesting to me the other day about Edison Volquez. He really misses him first and foremost. Really good guy. But he said in his bullpen sessions when he got too fast, he put him in turf shoes. And it was an interesting thought because he wanted to slow him down, much like that injury did in his no-hitter. Slowed him down, didn't want him to jump out and get out of whack, because if you use the shoes, you don't want to get out there and slip. So he said it really made it a lot easier for him. He didn't transfer that into the game every single time.
He's had 3 starts where he's not pitched that great, and he suggested after his second start that someone bang him in the ankle with a bat before his next start. And try to recreate that feeling.
We saw him out on the warning track after a game trying to jam his ankle into the foul pole. We told him to stop, but
we did that as hitters too.
We clearly knew what he was up to.
We did that as hitters. It's so odd that you have those little things when you have a lot of success and you're sustaining it. You want to do the same things over and over again. This game tends not to happen that way.
Now, the fun thing I would expect about your job is not only do you get to cover the Padres, but up the freeway into the FS1 studios, you get a great view of the landscape of Major League Baseball. Volquez, Shaw takes down low. Today, Major League Baseball, with the first 2 home runs that were hit today, set a record for most home runs in a month. Is it launch angle? Is it bat path? Is it juiced baseball? Is it just the way the game is evolving? Why all of a sudden all these home runs? I know the last couple of years it's been trending upward, but it seems this year to just have exploded.
Well, I'm not a launch angle guy, first and foremost, even though a lot of people are talking about it, and it does come into equation. I think there's too many pitchers, obviously with the velocity, but they're pitching at the top of the zone too much. Because back when we were playing, I hate saying that phrase, but a lot of pitchers wanted to work down. They wanted to work that movement down in the strike zone. I think it's happening too much. There's too many mistakes being thrown, and those mistakes are leaving the yard. I'm concerned that you have the second baseman going 430, 440 feet with home runs. That is a concern for me. I think something is different. It's not that they're bigger and stronger. I think there's something to that.
I've heard one theory, and that is to catch up with velocity, it's a max effort swing. And so you're losing the art of the slap hitter or the guy that is just trying to drive the ball to the opposite field to get on base, and that even the second baseman or the guys that are normally slap hitting guys are actually getting it deep. Now, Joe West, all of a sudden, something going on with the security guard over there at first base. And I'm not sure what's up. All the umpires right now are headed, 2 of them now are headed to the Brewers dugout. Alan Porter's going there as well. Craig Counsell is looking down that first base line. There are security guards who are kind of gathering down the first base line.
Marlins are coming off the field.
And I'm not sure if something has happened in the stands. Oh my goodness. Joe West was hit by something that was thrown from the stands. And that's why this game has been stopped. And I'm sure the security right now is trying to find the fan that threw whatever it was.
Looks like a baseball. white object from behind.
Again.
Yeah, that's a baseball. Somebody threw a baseball at him.
Well, the security here at Miller Park, Don Mattingly is out on the field. The security right now, I'm sure, is trying to determine where that came from. You can see that came down from the upper reaches of the ballpark.
It might be that second deck.
Down the right field line. Second deck at the very least. There's 4 decks here in this ballpark. And that looked like down that first base line, second, third, or maybe even fourth deck. West appears to be okay. I think from that distance, I don't know that they were throwing it at Joe West. I mean,
hard to believe. That would be very hard to believe, but still.
I think a fan is just threw a ball out on the field and it hits Joe West.
Right.
Yes. And you can see now the police are up in one of the sections up there.
Probably using video technology to retrace the steps of the baseball back to the seat, because it doesn't look like the crowd is cooperating as far as pointing out the person who threw it. Maybe nobody was able to see it.
Well, obviously you're looking for something on videotape, and there is, there's a camera, especially back in New York, that has a look at the whole field. But you need people who are witnesses to this. You need people to say this is the person that did that. And I don't know that they're going to restart this game until they find this person. Again,
the angle for which the ball's coming down really leads me to believe that it's at least the second or third deck. It definitely was not from the lower bowl area.
And you see that a lot of people in those areas, security guards talking to the crowd, trying to find some sort of a description or some sort of a eyewitness account.
Well, it looked like the ball was thrown when the pitch was delivered by Volquez. So that's your attention if you're a fan. So you're wondering if someone even saw who was throwing it. Maybe it came from that third deck.
First and foremost, it's good to see that Joe West is okay and not seriously hurt. And then secondly, you got to find this person, and this is not a just eject him from the ballpark. This is a arrest this person.
Yeah, that's a form of assault.
Now all 4 umpires down that right field line.
Hard for me to believe that nobody saw it.
Well, Mark's point's a good one in that it happened while the pitch was coming to the plate. So the attention of obviously West and everybody on the field.
Well,
you saw Justin Bohr there
in
that shot.
But
Volquez is going to.
Everybody's sitting next to somebody though, and I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Volquez is going to get a chance to warm back up, and it looks like they're going to restart the game. We have no indication and have not heard anything about any sort of apprehension or arrest. Well, it's a scoreless ball game. If you're just joining us here in Milwaukee, Freddie Gonzalez and Don Mattingly. Freddie, I'm sure, went down and watched in the video room just to see what happened, and you could see Freddie moving his arm as this to show Don Mattingly the trajectory of the ball.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. I remember a situation in Los Angeles where they had giveaways. It was a giveaway ball night. And I was with St. Louis, and John Mabry was in right field. They started launching balls from the top deck. And we immediately ran off the field, and he was in harm's way because he was the closest where they were all throwing it. That's not something you want to see in the game of baseball ever.
Trust me, as an outfielder, I can speak to all of these things.
Yeah.
I've seen batteries, quarters, half dollars, beer bottles, beer itself, you name it, vulgar. All sorts of things come flying out of the stands.
Very true.
All right, Domingo Santana's up. Travis Shaw's at first. And Volquez with a breaking ball. And that would be strike 2. Or excuse me, I thought am I off on the count? I thought it was 0-1.
Maybe time was called as the pitch was thrown.
That's a good point. Well, Santana swings and misses at that one. It's a scoreless ball game, which is a surprise. We expected fireworks and balls launched all over the place. The Brewers hitting 6 homers against the Reds in a wipeout win last night. And of course, Miami trots out Stanton, Ozuna, and Bohr, 21, 20, and 18 homers apiece.
You know, Rich, Todd said something interesting too about the batter's eye here at Miller Park. It is one of the best batter's eye. I think that's a difference maker when you think about a good hitter's park. And I heard you talk about that, Todd. Not many people understand that is a difference maker for the hitter's perspective, because not only does it help you hitting and the contact point, also staying off the borderline pitches if you see it well. Typically, hitters would always have a certain place that they loved. You can see it right there. It's the only time it's bad here at Miller Park is those day games.
Yeah, that's when
late
it's hardest
in the
to see, right? As the night creeps in, even the lights pick up. That ball, as soon as Edison Volquez pulls the ball out of the glove, pitch recognition starts, and the sooner you start it as a hitter, advantage hitter.
And is it just lack of white anywhere up there? Is it lack of color? What is it?
Well, I think that there's a lot of different answers to that, but this ballpark in particular, you have no movement, so you don't have a crowd. It's not like Dodger Stadium, or even, I know Dodger Stadium opens up a little bit, but you do still have those fans. You don't have white shirts, you have no movement, you have no distractions. It's a black visual, and it's just, it's like a blackboard.
Yeah, and I think the length of it too, as we showed, when you see that, it doesn't matter if the guy drops down at all. You're picking up a release point, and the sooner you do that, the better you are as a hitter. Not only because you're going to make contact, it's those borderline pitches, those out pitches that these pitchers have that you stay off of.
So the question I wanted to follow up, as we were talking about the long ball in the game and all the home runs that are being hit in the month of June, Sweet, is do you see an adjustment being made this year, maybe over the next year or so? Do you think there's more home runs and more offense, or do the pitchers start to reintroduce the breaking ball? Do you think that starts to happen and the pitchers start to make the necessary adjustments?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of the pitchers, to your point, it's using that fastball elevated at the top of the strike zone and being able to use that curveball. I think the curveball is really coming into play. It used to be that sinker slider combination for a lot of guys. Like now it has everything to do with that fastball elevated, and if you can pitch it, that you don't have to have velocity either. You're seeing guys that even you're going to see Davies tomorrow for the Brewers. They're going to be able to pitch at the top of the strike zone.
Dan Straley does.
Exactly.
Well. Yep.
And it's a good point, because I think that's what's going to happen. I think the game's going to adjust back, because I think they're going to have to ask a lot of these hitters and have a mixture of guys that have bat-to-ball skills a little bit more, and it's going to evolve, I think, backwards a little bit.
Well, it's incredibly circular. You and I know this. We've been in this game long enough to see that, you know, all the great general managers and the front office personnel, they're, you know, trying to stay ahead of the curve, and whether it's bringing in the athletes and the more, you know, bringing speed back into the game. You're always looking to do the next new thing or reintroduce it to the game so that you can be out in front of it and use it. And I think that you're absolutely right. You know, I get asked this a lot. Are we just going to continue to watch high velocity guys and a lot of these guys breaking down 97, 99 miles an hour, 3 years into their careers? We're talking Tommy John surgery with tons and tons of home runs. Are we settling on this? I said, well, that's not the game of baseball. Baseball evolves. It constantly is circular. It reinvents itself. And I think a couple years ago, they were talking about lowering the mound because there was too much velocity and guys were striking out at an alarming rate. There wasn't any offense.
I just don't want them to manipulate the game.
Runner goes. Real Muto's throw. Got him. Great catch.
Wow.
Great tag by D. Gordon. He is Mark Sweeney, and he'll be on your television tomorrow at 3:30 on FS1 along with Aaron Goldsmith. They've got the call for Marlins and Brewers. Mark, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming,
Great
Mark.
seeing you as
Brother.
always.
We'll leave the booth clean for you.
No hit.
Muto and his athleticism. Here's a great example of why he is the most athletic catcher in the game.
You're telling me there was a little bait right there? Is that what that was? No, come on. Just wasn't able to come up with it, but a great catch and throw. We talk pop time all the time. Well done. That's what you want to see. Able to pounce. Shaw tried to take advantage of the fact that the ball in the dirt. No shot with JT on that one.
And if you haven't read it, and I suggest you find it, Mike Petriello on MLB.com with that StatCast-laden article of a few days ago talking about the fastest players at each position and how Real Muto is one of the fastest players regardless of position. As well, a follow-up article on Real Muto, pop time, athleticism, and the season that he's having.
Let's take one more look at this. I want everybody at home to see this. Watch JT's eyes when he takes off the mask. Oh, we're showing, yeah, see how he's watching him the whole time? That is on your game right there. That's anticipation. Well done, JT.
Ball and a strike. Scoreless game here in the fifth. Go figure here in Milwaukee.
It's baseball.
And that big breaking ball is a called strike.
That's when you think you have baseball figured out, right?
Derek Dietrich, JT Riddle will follow. Vogt took the brunt of that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
adding and subtracting, breaking the ball down into the dirt. Almost he jumped up and got underneath that old school mask that Vogt wears. We had that conversation in Oakland with Vogt in the old school mask.
Garza's given up just 3 hits, all of them singles. And Real Muto beats it. And I know I sound like a broken record, but
have at it. It's base hit.
Most catchers don't beat that out.
They do not. Well, listen. Most position players outside of second baseman don't beat that out as well. Talking about that athleticism. Infield hit for JT. Hustling all the way. Easily beats it to first.
Here's Dietrich now. So 4 hits for Miami. Runner goes. Vogt's throw. Not in time, and Real Muto swipes his 4th base. Not to sound like a broken record.
Keep going. Sometimes the obvious has to happen, right? We promised a bunch of runs in this game, but so far not many. All the home runs in Miller Park, well, some stolen bases as well. Matt Garza 7 for 7 against him, now 8 for 8. JT wasting no time, not allowing Garza to get into any kind of rhythm.
The Brewers asked Alan Porter for time to look at the replay on that. And they have decided not to challenge. Dietrich called out on strikes in the 2nd. Real Muto a good sized lead at 2nd. And the pitch fouled back. 0-2. Well, a ground ball to the right side would set up the Riddle at bat, but remember you're near the bottom of the order. Riddle hits 8th and Volquez hits 9th. Outfield playing towards left center for Dietrich. In between innings, Joe West walked down that right field line, and if looks could kill, West glaring up into the seats, still looking for the perpetrator, as the security folks here at Milwaukee are still looking as well.
I'm amazed that the person has not been found. I'm also amazed at the loyalty. You look around this beautiful building, I mean, everybody's sitting next to somebody, and I'm just really surprised that an answer has not been had yet.
Oof. It was close. Garza looking in sideways at Alan Porter, thought he had strike 3. You can see the yellow ball was the last pitch, and it was out. JT Realmuto at 2nd. No runs here tonight. Miami has 4 hits. Milwaukee has just 1 hit tonight. There was a Hernan Perez 2nd inning single.
Good take by Dietrich. Changeup. First pitch in this sequence, in this at bat, down in the zone. Always easy to lay off that tough changeup. Your eyesight has been elevated for the entire at bat. Would love to get the ball to the right side. would love to drive him in.
Dietrich, behind 0-2, has worked himself back to a full count.
Well, when pitchers find a gateway, when there's a little more space on a corner, they tend to go there when they get themselves into trouble. And you've seen throughout this at bat, Garza at times, especially against the left-handed hitters, really has been able to work to the inside corner. He has not been able to really get back there against Dietrich because he's been really focused on that outside corner. He's going to go back out there again.
Dietrich grounds it to the right side.
Dietrich able to take a 0-2 at bat, turn it into a productive out.
Now, how do you play this if you're Garza? You got the pitcher on deck. Riddle has been really good. You see the major league average is at 50. And Riddle with a chance to give Miami a lead here. The infield's in.
Having watched Matt Garza for a number of years, he will try to use velocity to the inside part of the plate, and if he misses, and he puts him on. If not, he hopes that JT Riddle tries to swing the bat and gets jammed. That's what he's going to do. You're going to see 93, 94 on the inside part of the plate. He will not. Think back to that his first at bat, excuse me. Threw him a backup breaking ball. He lined it to left.
So velocity at 93. And he's out in front 0-2.
You see those career numbers. Yeah, Matt Garza splits, honestly. There's not a real favoritism to one side or the other. Lefties or righties, runners on or bases empty. I know there's some numbers there. We talked about how he doesn't like runners on first base or running situations. Throughout his career, he's been pretty consistent.
Real Muto 90 feet away. Let's see if he goes up and in with heat. Looks like it. He's been right at 93 with all 3 pitches. One and 2. Line drive, fair, right down the line, and it kicks off the wall. Riddle around first. Real Muto scores. It's a double, and it's 1-0.
Law of averages continue to go JT Riddle's way. We showed you the numbers. Runner on third base. Ability to get the job done. Another fastball, misses his spot. This two-seamer gets back out over the plate. We talked about getting the fastball in. Garza wanted it in, couldn't get it there. JT stays inside, drives it the other way. Marlins on the board, 1-0.
Now you got Volquez with Riddle out there at second base. How about that? 11 of 13 times he's driven in that run from third base. Volquez looked disinterested at that pitch. I think he was
Volquez doesn't do breaking balls. You ever watch his swing this year? He's sitting on the heat. He wants to let it go, and he's going to go after the heat. He does not like breaking balls. He sees one, he's just going to let go. He throws 3 right here. I bet he doesn't take a swing.
There's a ball on the field in left, and whether it came from the bullpen or the stands, I don't know. If you've just joined us, Joe West was hit in the head with what looked like a ball thrown down the right field line from one of the upper, if not the very top deck here at Miller Park. West was not injured, but was plenty angry, and the game was stopped for a good 7-8 minutes while they looked for the perpetrator. To our knowledge, they didn't find anybody. The last we saw, the security and police were still combing through the crowd asking for witnesses. They may well have found someone. We just may not know about it. But if we get a report, we'll pass it along. Here's the 0-1. Volquez, bouncer. Well, he does a base hit in the left field. Late start by Riddle, and he slides in. JT, Volquez taking his bows over there at first base. JT, I think, was fooled a little bit on that ball off the bat. Watch his reaction.
He should. He thought Travis Shaw was going to cut across and field it. That's the read for JT. So he tries to make up for it by, the late break, getting into third base. It's simple as that. I kid around in the outfield with the "I got it, you take it." That was another example of it. You get your third baseman in. That's a chopper to the left side. Shortstop's looking at the third baseman. Third baseman's looking at the shortstop, going, "What do we got?" JT has to read it. Gets a late break. Safely gets over to third base.
And Volquez, with his bow of acceptance there at first base, kind of illustrating what Mark Sweeney was talking about. Sweeney, a Padre broadcaster, had him down there in San Diego. And he was beloved down there. He's beloved in this clubhouse. Now Gordon, and a chance for more. Still one out. Volquez at first, Riddle at third. Middle infield looks for two. There's the bunt. Here comes Riddle. The flip by Garza is wild. Run scores. Volquez is racing for third. And Gordon, on a first and third bunt, forces Garza to defend his position. That's not a strong suit for him. And the Marlins get a run.
D. Gordon, 2-week groundouts leading into this moment, says, all right, breaking ball, I'll just bunt. It's way to go. Matt Garza, athletic play, tries to get to the ball, does the flip way offline. Watch how badly this misses across. Vogt, no shot at even keeping that ball on the infield. That's Volquez using his great base running skills and instincts to get all the way over to third base. D. Gordon saying, hurry up.
And the infield has to cautiously come in with Stanton at the plate. And he takes a strike. It's going to be a sacrifice on the bunt and a fielder's choice, an error as well, and that allows the runners to advance. So Gordon gets an RBI in what is called a sacrifice bunt. That's that popular first and third play with one out. What
do you mean by popular?
Popular, it's coming back in the game. Joe Madden has done it a lot. And if you execute it correctly at the plate and at third base, you almost always score the run. Vogt has to wrestle that one down. And it's incumbent on the runner at third to make that play work. The runner at third has to really read it correctly, and Riddle did. Because if it's put down properly, and it was with Gordon, and Riddle thinks he can score, he can score. Even if Garza was able to field that ball standing up, and Riddle had not broken initially, had Garza turned to throw to first, Riddle could score at that point.
He was able to buy a little time. It was a breaking ball, only 75 miles an hour, so there's reaction to that. Even as a runner on third base, you see it.
Stanton a bouncer. That's Volquez at third. He's not going anywhere. And Shaw throws out Stanton. Let's go back to that bunt play at first and third. Take us through it.
Well, let's remember the initial read is D. Gordon. He knows a breaking ball's coming, sees it, watches D square at the last moment, gets the good bunt down, and then it's just boom, off to the races. Get home as fast as you can. Go to the backside typically of home plate and hope for the best. And in that situation right there, it was such a good bunt. Matt Garza had a bare hand play, and obviously things did not go their way.
2 outs now. Yelich. And still 2 runs out there. Gordon at second, Volquez third. Remember, the Brewers had that aggressive shift on, and Yelich shot one through the left side. There's your velocity up and in from Garza, who's thrown a lot of pitches here in the inning.
Garza, I'm sure, frustrated with himself. Infield hit by Real Muto. Missed his spot on Riddle. And then Volquez's six-hopper got through the left side.
Well, he's 3-0 on Yelich. I don't know that he prefers to pitch to Ozuna here.
Yeah, I'm going to put this on him if he doesn't get himself out of this situation. This is you don't want to mess with this guy right here. He's been that good all season long, and he does have a base hit against you already tonight.
Here's the 3-0, and it's out, and Yelich walks. Bags are loaded. Here comes Ozuna. Marcel has flied out to the wall in right and lined a single to left. Well, that's healthy.
Yeah, that's why you want to go after Christian Yelich right there. That's not a knock on Christian Yelich. That's just a feather in the cap of Marcell Ozuna. 370. Make sure you read this right. 2 outs in runners in scoring position. We're not talking the easy one. We're talking the one where you've got to get a base hit to get that guy in. He's got a couple home runs already this season. 8 walks. Shows you how good those eyes have been as well. Marcell Ozuna is in the driver's seat. Chance to blow this game open, this inning open.
Oh, and he got a fastball and just missed it. Brewers bullpen scrambling right now. Carlos Torres, the right-hander, is up. Craig Counsell, former World Series hero for the Marlins and World Series and postseason hero for the Diamondbacks. Big breaking ball misses in. And now it's 2-1. Can Ozuna stay patient enough to get his pitch here? Vogt is out to chat briefly with Garza.
Yes, to answer your question, Marcell Ozuna has, I believe, made the adjustment even early on in this game. You saw what Garza was doing early on. I mentioned it first time through the lineup, how effective he was down in the zone. Ozuna says, I gotta set my eyes a little higher, even on that big breaking ball. In order for that breaking ball to be in a good spot for Marcell to hit it, it's got to start more towards his letters.
And now Garza's out in front, 1-2.
This is the breaking ball Garza wanted to get to. More at the knees, more working away out of the zone, down.
So if he wants to waste a breaking ball, the problem he's got is he'll need Vogt to try to wrestle it to the ground. Remember, the bags are loaded here, even though it is Volquez at third base. Gordon's at second, Yelich first. So good speed behind Volquez. It's down and in, and it's 2-2.
Time and time again, Rich. Marcell Ozuna, 2 strikes, runners in scoring position. Right back up the middle. Used a big part of the field.
Another baseball. That actually looks like a golf ball that was on the field.
What's going on here tonight?
I have never seen anything like it, and I don't believe it's a giveaway night. I don't think they've given them baseballs away. You know they haven't given golf balls out. All right, counts 2 balls, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. And Ozuna strikes out. But Miami with some speed and some bunting and some hits has a 2-0 lead.
Marlins have taken a 2-0 lead. Don Mattingly now comes to Milwaukee as a manager, but earlier today he had a chance to reflect on what it was like coming to Milwaukee as a player.
They got me out pretty good in Milwaukee, to be honest with you. I'm glad they got a new stadium. I'll say that. I always like coming to Milwaukee. My family always came. My folks loved it here. I think they loved being able to sit out in the parking lot and you know, easy parking and all that kind of stuff. And the fans have always been really energetic here.
Mattingly said they got him out pretty good in Milwaukee. Guys, I looked up the numbers versus the Brewers, a .286 average, 10 home runs, and 75 RBIs for Donnie Baseball. That doesn't sound that bad.
Well, you got to put it in perspective. Don Mattingly was one of the preeminent left-handed bats of his era. A guy that
used to hit 330.
Yeah. Put up some pretty large numbers.
His 286 and my 286 are 2 totally different things.
Won a batting title in 1984, MVP in 85. In 85, Mattingly, 35 homers, 48 doubles, drove in 145 runs.
That's where you say, how are you seeing the ball that year?
Yes.
Like a beach ball.
And of course, when Don Mattingly came here as a player, they played in County Stadium. Miller Park opened up in 2001. And the legacy of this ballpark, as it was under construction before he became commissioner, but it's all part of Bud Selig, who is going into the Hall of Fame this year.
I know County Stadium. Did you ever?
I did not.
Did you ever get to go there at all?
Nope. It was one of the ballparks I never got to. Gordon on to first in time. And an out here in the bottom of the 5th. The next free T-shirt Fridays on July 14th. Oh yeah, this is the Grand Slam Donut T-shirt night. First 7,000 fans will get a Justin Bohr Grand Slam Donut T-shirt. Do we have a picture of it? We need the ball club to give us a picture of the Grand Slam Donut T-shirt. It's a great shirt. You can Google it online.
It's Fantastic T-shirt.
It has.
I'd buy one.
It has a little guy with a bat and donuts on the bat.
Well, it's so appropriate for a hitter. Donuts.
That's right. Well, boar and donuts.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. The whole thing.
But I'll tell you what. He has changed his donut game over the last couple of years.
Well, that's why you're seeing the big numbers this season.
That's right. That's why you see him quick around the bag.
It's not like it used to be in the old days, where you didn't worry about your diet till the season started. Nowadays, these young men worry about what they put in their bodies 365, 24/7.
Stephen Vogt, right center field and deep. Yelich back. And it's gone. And Stephen Vogt has cut the lead in half. Bernie the Brewer down the slide.
Interesting sometimes how this happens as a hitter. First at bat, Edinson Volquez got him out on the inside part of the plate, up near the hands on a fly ball to center field. Missed his spot back to the inside part of the plate. Vogt remembers this, doesn't miss it the second time.
You saw Yelich in right center approaching the wall. Miller Park has some of the largest warning tracks in all of baseball. And as an outfielder, Todd, you can speak to this. It is a difficult park to judge warning track to wall because there's so many uneven and different distances around the outfield.
You have to take a great deal of time and go out. And most outfielders aren't inclined to do this because of the changes, as you just mentioned, to the different spots on the warning track. Time out your steps at full speed so that you know. Most ballparks, you go to probably 2 different spots and you'll say, I got 2.5 steps here and I've got 3.5 steps here before I hit the wall. At this ballpark, I've done this before. I've counted 7 different spots where the track either gets wider or shorter and your steps are entirely different.
I mean, look at that corner. And the warning track doesn't change. You leave grass and hit track. You're not sure if you're headed to the deep corner or the one that juts out. Riddle whips it across in time. Keon Broxton is out number 2. Just for Men player profile, Eric Thames. Of course, he disappeared from Major League Baseball because he was playing for the NC Dinos. 3 seasons over there, and he lit it up. I mean, he really lit it up. He became the first 40-40 player in the Korean Baseball Organization, the KBO. He was on deck, and instead, Matt Garza is going to come up and hit. Had Broxton reached, we would have seen Thames in that spot. So Garza will take the at-bat with nobody on and 2 outs. Now the Brewers are operating with a 4-man bench like the Marlins. So it's hard to get creative in the bottom of the 5th if you're a manager.
Well, in this situation, you've got the 2 outs. Garza may hit. We don't even know. They still have bullpen activity. You see Craig Counsell on the phone. He's on the phone with the bullpen. They still have things going on down there. Garza may be done and just taking this at bat.
You're right. And that phone call may be, hey, I need you ready, because the pen may have called to say, hey, what's up here?
You don't waste your bullets if you're not coming in at this stage.
And with Torres warming up, it's an indication that Garza's here just to take the at bat. Dietrich takes the ground ball and goes to first. Stephen Vogt hits one out. And we finally saw our first home run of the night. And it's 2-1 Miami. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance Events. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by your South Florida Chevy dealer. Love that look here at Miller Park from the parking lot through the windows with the roof open. Carlos Torres is going to come in. So Matt Garza is done. Torres gets the 6th inning. It's a 2-1 Miami lead. We are here all weekend. Not only with Fox Sports Florida tonight and on Sunday, but tomorrow's game is on FS1. So please make a note of that. You can find the ball game tomorrow, 3:30 start on FS1. Todd and I will be probably out at some tailgate party here in the parking lot of Miller Park. This is maybe the would you say the top state for tailgating?
Oh, easily.
In all of sports, because if you're going to mix in Packers and Wisconsin and Brewers.
Having lived in this area around here, northwest burbs of Chicago, this right here, Tailgate Nation.
Torres DeBoer, and Justin gets a breaking ball, hits it high, fairly deep. Broxton makes a catch. Sunday's our next telecast. South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for Marlins Live. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson, Dan Straley going for Miami. And that's a 1:30 start before the Marlins head to St. Louis. Junior Guerra will be pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers. And by the way, if you've joined us late, you've missed a lot. And one note you may have missed is that Tom Kohler will indeed make the start tomorrow on FS1 with righty Zach Davies. For the Brewers, here is Real Muto. Real Muto beat out an infield hit in the 5th, swiped second base, scored on the Riddle double.
Against Torres, he's going to be looking cutters. There's his cut fastball. That's it. 93 miles an hour. Outside part of the plate, does have a slow breaking ball. And can straighten it out occasionally, but 75% of the time he's going to throw that cut fastball you just saw.
On the ground, Sogard. Here are your starters for tomorrow. Kohler returns. Some promising reports from his starts in AAA. Zach Davies for the Brewers. 3:30 on FS1. Derek Dietrich now. I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying this, but I think this game is not going to end at 2-1. I mean, the way these two teams have swung the bats this year, especially the Brewers, especially in this ballpark.
I didn't think we'd beat a 2-1 at this point of the ball game, but we are. Certainly thought some more fireworks.
Busted bat, and with the shift, Dietrich is going to beat this for a hit. Sogard was way over behind second, and he did his best to get there.
Cut fastball gets in on the hands of Dietrich. Ground ball to short, but nobody's home. Base hit. Put down a winner.
I've wondered this, and there's people I can ask for the quick answer, but I've always wondered when they give the numbers of, hey, the shift took away this many hits, the shift is responsible for saving this many runs. In the equation, do they back out the number of balls that end up being hits?
Oh, they do.
They do?
Yes.
Okay. What's the formula for that? What do they?
I don't know, but I can show you the answer. It's very easy for me to do. I actually look at it quite a bit because I look at it more offensively. I'm a former player as opposed to a former pitcher, but there are ways. Fangraphs, the website, actually has that. Batting averages against shifts when teams put into it against particular pitchers, and when hitters are hitting against the shifts themselves and the willingness to do it. Really doesn't define effort on a hitter's part. It just defines the results.
Well put. 2-1 Miami. Chorizo, I went number 2, and I think number 5 is going to win this thing.
That's Chorizo, I don't know, but Polish is making an effort.
I had Polish, number 2.
I caught Chorizo stretching before the race, and I said, that's my guy right there.
The Racing Sausages have been doing it here in Milwaukee. It started on the scoreboard in 1990, and then the first real race with actual sausages was 1993. So that's a 25-year tradition here in Milwaukee. You have bratwurst, Polish, Italian, the hot dog, and chorizo. And Edinson Volquez against Eric Sogard. And a breaking ball misses down low.
Well, after a somewhat suspect, we'll say, start to the game, walked Sogard. Edinson Volquez has been in total control. Solo home run to Vogt. Making pitches down. For me, it's always about efficiency when it comes to Edinson Volquez. It's really never a question of his stuff. 81 pitches, doing a nice job here in the 6th.
A couple of walks, including the first hitter he faced, Sogard. What's gotten into Eric Sogard? I mean, he's played 40 games. He had knee surgery last year, didn't play a game in the major leagues. He's a career .248 hitter with a career .311 on base. He's been on base 2 more times tonight with a hit. He's a .450 on base guy right now, and his batting average is in the 340s.
I'm not going to dare sit here and tell you it's sustainable and that his career path is completely changed and that there's been a misread all along. It's not the case, but what happens with baseball players, I did this a couple times, trust me, I played for 8 different teams. There's a sense of first impression when you get on board and you do your best to get into a rhythm. You just have a heightened awareness of when you're traded and when you get to a new ball club of what you want to be.
Jonathan Villar runs up to bunt.
I remember 6th year, my 6th year in LA, I was traded to the Colorado Rockies. And when I became a Colorado Rocky, the one thing that I wanted to do was pay back the Dodgers. And I knew there was a 4-game set, Colorado Rockies versus the Dodgers in Los Angeles. About 6 weeks later, I got traded at the deadline. And I was starting to earn some more playing time. I got into a pretty good rhythm. I was working with Clint Hurdle, and things were kind of going my way in Colorado. And I went into Dodger Stadium, the same building that I was struggling with all season long. I couldn't buy a hit here or there. I went in there with just such conviction and purpose. I had a different role. I was on a different team. I think I threw out in the 4-game series, I bet I threw out 10 hits. And it's funny because it's the psychological side of the game of baseball, even for the hitters.
VR does bunt. Real Muto pounces. Got the out there. He is right now the best in the game at this.
Jumping out from behind home plate, grabbing a moving baseball and throwing a dart to a bag, whether it's first, second, or third. He's been so good at this all season long. I have been so, I'm more impressed every time I see it. Not even a second. Quick grab, throw. Sogard out by more than a step at second base. He's a weapon.
So VR now resides at first. And here's Jesus Aguilar.
Would you agree? It's to the point he's so good behind home plate that the team meetings are, if you're going to bunt, you need to get the ball off the dirt and away from JT Realmuto or you're done. You agree with that?
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think, you know, the work that Brian Schneider has done with him, and I would give credit to Jeff Mathis last year and A.J. Ellis this year. 2 veteran catchers, both known as really good defenders. And Ellis has said that Realmuto's just a sponge. Anything and everything that he can soak up, he does.
He's got a chance to be the best catcher in the National League, in my opinion, if he's not there already for some of us.
VR can run. He's got 14 stolen bases. It's a 1-run game. A week in the Midwest. And then 3 days in San Francisco. That's what this road trip is. Center field blasted. In the gap. Yelich is there and he makes the catch. Jesus Aguilar hit it well. And there's 2 outs. Travis Shaw now. Shaw, the third baseman. His father, a longtime pitcher and a 2-time All-Star in Major League Baseball. Jeff Shaw. Teammate of yours, right?
Most definitely. Good guy. Closer for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Told the story before. I'll tell it again. Travis Shaw, I used to take Travis when he was a young man, about 8 years old. Take him out to center field early. We'd catch fly balls together.
Really?
We'd work on our route running. Yeah, he'd hang out with me in center field. His dad always loved to get his conditioning in the outfield and shagging. Closers, relievers, a lot of times come up with their own running programs. They don't just necessarily go out every day and run foul pole to get their conditioning in. Jeff loved to shag fly balls, and so Travis would come with him a lot of the times all summer long, and let's do this the right way. We might as well do it the right way now.
One of the best shows in baseball for many years was batting practice for the Atlanta Braves when none of the big 3 were pitching. because they would have competitions in the outfield.
You play 500
as to who could run down the most fly balls, and they were vicious, and they were incredibly competitive. Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox. I mean, leaping catches up against the wall were bonus points. It was really fun to watch. Because you know they've been out on the golf course all day doing the same thing.
That's true. All three of them. I bet you're right about that. Well, I do know you're right about that. Nice breaking ball by Edinson Volquez. Talked an awful lot about his changeup over the last 5 or 6 starts, but he's reintroduced that breaking ball a time or two. Tonight's ball game, it's been very, very effective as a secondary weapon.
Runner goes, pitch in the dirt, goes all the way to the screen. And the Brewers get that stolen base. VR his 15th.
Changeup down in the zone. JT goes to the backhand to give himself an opportunity, but as soon as he is unable to secure the baseball, no shot at second base. It's merely a stolen base. No throw.
Full count, 2 outs. You got a right-handed bat, Domingo Santana, on deck. The tying run in scoring position. Juan Nieves, the former Milwaukee Brewer, guy that had one of the biggest moments on the mound in Brewers history, is back in town. Justin Bour lines it up, grabs it, and steps on the bag. And Edinson Volquez is through 6.
Counsell literally leaped into baseball lore, scoring the most iconic run in Marlins history as he crossed the plate with the game winner on Edgar Renteria's single.
You know, we're trying to win so we can act like kids. You know, that's what you do when you win. You act like kids. So we were just, you know, you're celebrating. And that definitely wasn't planned. They took some nice pictures of it that made me look like I could jump.
Did your Marlin moment there. Two-1. There's Craig Counsell. Ichiro is in the box. Counsell adjusting his scorecard. Edinson Volquez night comes to a close. Ichiro, D. Gordon, and Giancarlo Stanton. With a breaking ball, Ichiro takes out. Ichiro, a start last night, was 0 for 4. He is 2 hits shy of Rod Carew, the 24th all time. 3,051 hits, and Vogt catches that foul tip. Give me the ball and let me take it out there. I love the I love his pitcher, Torres, jogging with him, trying to keep up with the catcher.
Oh, back heel. Unprotected. Right back heel. Cut fastball. Cut fastballs, boy, they give you some of the worst foul tips on catchers.
They're hard to hit. They're hard to catch. They're hard to call for umpires. Torres challenges Ichiro with a fastball, and it's 1-2. Two balls, two strikes. Chopper to first that Aguilar takes care of. The Barracuda Tap House is a happening place in Coconut Grove. There's your watch party tonight. Nicely done.
Does that guy in the front have a tambourine on his head? That's what that looked like?
Not sure, but
it's a wild, crazy party there.
It is. Anything that has Billy the Marlin involved generally gets out of hand by the 7th inning. And this is the 7th inning.
Yeah, I think that's a tambourine. Got his Marlins jersey on. Good for him.
I like how the music creeps back in when the photo comes back up. Gordon, who was in the middle of that first and third bunt, with JT Riddle scoring a dramatic run, tries to bunt again, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. If you're just happening by this ball game, Miami has a 2-1 lead. Milwaukee's run is a Stephen Vogt homer. The Gordon bunt and JT Riddle's double knocked in both Miami runs. Ground ball third. Shaw. And 2 outs. Geico MLB moments. Not the hammer that used to play here in Milwaukee, but the hammer that played in Miami. Josh Willingham, 2 home runs, 10th inning walk-off, and the Marlins beat the Nationals 6-5. The Alabama hammer. Josh Willingham.
He had some tape measure power.
He was a sturdy, and still is.
I remember a few of his long ones. My goodness.
Sturdy lad. Stanton has struck out and then pulled ground balls to the left side to short in the third, to third in the 5th. Fouls that back. This was a good pitching night for both starters, really. Edinson Volquez gave up just the 1 run. Matt Garza gave up the 2 runs in that 5th inning, and that's it. It's 1-2. This is a game as well that had a stoppage of around 8 or 9 minutes for a ball that was thrown from the stands that hit the back of the head of umpire Joe West at first base. And from what we saw on video, it came from a steep descent, indicating it came from one of the upper decks down the right field line. Play was stopped. We still do not have word as if they've identified after a pitch that ball hitting West. Still no word as to whether the security and the police here have found the person that threw it. 1-2 is up, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. There was a ball thrown on the field the next inning in left field. And then an inning after that, another ball thrown into left field, and it looked like a golf ball.
A little too much tailgating before the game.
You don't see that much anymore. No. You know, with giveaways, it used to be ball night or ball day, and then they started giving the balls away after the game when the fans left the field.
Everybody that's on the field, their concentration's on the field and in what they're doing. It's not in defending themselves from objects flying out of the stands.
Stanton swings and misses and strikes out. 2-1 Miami. Perez, look at him go. First ever MLB All-Star Zumba event on Sunday. Jessica Blaylock, Craig Minervini. And there he is, the star, Todd Hollandsworth. Bayfront Park, Sunday, July 9th. Register now. He did not know that was coming. AllStarGame.com. Zumba. We've been talking Zumba for 2 weeks now. The world's most dangerous tape room, when they get an idea like that.
Well, you've been egging him on for weeks with this Zumba read here and me being involved.
Yeah.
I guess now technically I am involved.
Yes, you are. You're invested.
Yes.
That's pretty good. Can we see that again, actually? Because I was reading. Here we go. Thank you. Because I have to read the copy.
Right.
I didn't get the full effect of Todd Hollandsworth in his full Zumba glory. Look at the guns on you.
Yeah, you know me in half shirts.
Your work at the gym has been paying off.
Yes, it has.
David Phelps, Zumba's one in there for a strike. Phelps arrives here. The Marlins, out of their bullpen, need 9 outs. They have a 1-run lead in Milwaukee. It's a good trip for David. He has to go back home into St. Louis for a 4-game series and home in St. Louis for the 4th of July.
Well, for Phelpsy, home has been on the road. 0.83. Oh, excuse me. I guess I probably said that a little bit wrong. He's been outstanding at home, not so much on the road, although it's been a little better lately. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There you go.
But he might feel at home here because of the 2 gentlemen that are in the Milwaukee Brewer dugout. Remember, David Phelps pitched at Notre Dame. Marlins World Series hero, Brewers manager Craig Counsell played at Notre Dame. And the man that managed Counsell at Notre Dame is behind that post, Pat Murphy. He was Counsell's head coach at Notre Dame. Murphy then, of course, had a great run at Arizona State as a head coach. Moved his way up the Padres organization, an interim manager there, and has been the bench coach for Counsell.
Had Phelpsy's stats reversed. 2-2 pitch.
Count stays 2-2. Remember, the Brewers, as we've mentioned, have a short bench like the Marlins, just 4 men on the bench, an extra reliever. Ryan Braun and Eric Thames are the 2 most dangerous weapons at Craig Counsell's disposal. Counsell still looks like he's like 28. He's actually 46. His father worked in the front office here in Milwaukee, as Craig was playing in college and ending up in the major leagues. 16 years as a player. First with Colorado, then with the Marlins, then with the Dodgers. And we've talked about, and everybody knows, and just saw the video on this show of him scoring the winning run, the walk-off Game 7 in '97. But he was a World Series hero and a postseason hero for the Diamondbacks in 2001. In fact, he was the NLCS MVP that year and had a big at bat in that walk-off Game 7 with Arizona beating the Yankees. How many guys have a key role in 2 Game 7 walk-off wins in the World Series for 2 different teams? I think he's got to be the only guy.
Very few. Short list. Taking full advantage of the moment, but it also describes Craig Counsell, former teammate of mine. Focused, determined. Many people have told him throughout his career it wasn't going to be a good enough hitter, it wouldn't be a good enough this or good enough that. All he did throughout his entire career was continue to prove everybody wrong, including the postseason.
Now Hernan Perez, after the leadoff walk, here in the bottom of the 7th. Perez has singled and bounced to second. Phelps in relief of Edinson Volquez. 6 innings for Volquez, just a run and just 3 hits. Very encouraging the last couple of starts for Volquez after a couple of clunkers. That's a strike. Volquez had that brilliant run of 3 starts, including the no-hitter, where his ERA was under a run and then a couple clunkers, better as last time. You see that pitch in. What a strike. And very good tonight here in Milwaukee. A swing and a miss, and Perez chases. Phelps gets a much-needed strikeout. And that's going to bring up Stephen Vogt.
A classic example of expanding the strike zone, elevating. Perez frustrated with strike number 2, thought it was away off the outside part. Fox Tracks tells us it was. What's Perez do? Thinks he has to defend out there, and shows the willingness to go out there and swing, and came up empty.
Vogt, who is one of the funnier guys around, he was a favorite and appeared on Intentional Talk on MLB Network. I think oftentimes they talked about his high school basketball officiating career. That's something that few people know about our Jeff Nelson. Nelly was a high school basketball official up in the Seattle area. And you did not play high school basketball when you were up in the Seattle area, did you?
That's not true.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's just I don't. There's no reason for me to talk about it.
Now, I've heard about the football career and the baseball careers.
There's really no reason for me to wander down this path other than to say, yeah, I played my role well.
Nelly may have officiated one of your games.
Yeah, maybe. I think Nelly and I are a little closer in age.
Yeah, you're right.
I will say this. Nelly is an imposing person. Very tall, long arms. Would you argue with that, ref?
No.
No, that's not a foul.
And a very good basketball player as well, from the Baltimore area, Jeff Nelson. And around baseball circles, if you got invited to Cal Ripken's pickup games in that area, you were a player, and Jeff Nelson was included in that group. One and two. There they are. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson. Bob Uecker. You never know who you're going to find in the press box here at Miller Park. Vogt hits another one to center. Yelich going back, looking up, and gone. Gone is the baseball, and gone is Miami's lead.
Stephen Vogt is having himself quite a night. The leadoff walk compounds this. Well, his proudest moment as a Brewer.
Crowd wants him to come out, and he will. And just like that, it's 3-2. Here is Keon Broxton. Two Stephen Vogt homers have accounted for all 3 runs. And it's 0-2. One and two. Milwaukee hit 6 homers against the Reds yesterday. Two from a guy that was designated for assignment last week. Tonight.
Fastball away. Big part of the field twice tonight. It's to right center field. It's straight away center field.
Count full now, 3-2. 9 spot is on deck. Orlando Arcia has a bat. Three and two. Now Milwaukee's bullpen.
Jacob Barnes
getting ready to try to protect their own 1-run lead. Breaking ball by Phelps. Second strikeout. The leadoff walk to Domingo Santana. And a 2-run homer by Stephen Vogt.
The breaking ball by Phelps. Broxton frustrated way out in front.
There is Arcia. He is the younger brother of Osvaldo Arcia, who was actually a Marlin last year for 2 games in the outfield. That one fouled back. Finals are coming in from games in the Eastern Time zone. Mets beat the Phillies 2-1. Jacob deGrom gets the win in that. Reds shut out the Cubs 5-0. Cubs are back at 500.
I believe that was former Cubs Scott Feldman.
Yes, Feldman got the win.
No hitter going for a while there.
Mike Montgomery the loss. Cubs ended up with 3 hits in the ball game. Cardinals are beating the Nationals 8-1 in St. Louis. Riddle, that one crawled up his arm. That's a base hit.
Let's see if the cut of grass had anything to do with this. Able to fields it that last hop that was on the dirt. Just kind of jumped up the arm on the backhand, and if you don't pick it clean, you've got no shot at first. Arcia can run.
There is Sogard. He's 1 for 2 with a walk. Let's see if Arcia has his designs on second base. Milwaukee is an aggressive team at the plate, and they are an aggressive team on the bases.
Nieves on his way out to talk to Phelps. The Brewers they're an interesting bunch. Craig Counsell in a lot of ways has to manage this young group in different ways. You see some of the numbers here at home. Power plays. It's one of the best home run hitters parks in the National League in baseball. He lets his hitters hit here a lot more. Doesn't attempt nearly as many stolen bases. In fact, one interesting note, like we were talking about how young this Brewers team is. On the road, they're second in baseball in sacrifice bunts. At home, they're 20th.
And it's not often you find a team that's leading the league in home runs and stolen bases.
Yeah.
And that's what Milwaukee has done so far this year. And they've got to look. I know people sometimes say, look, the Brewers are the beneficiary of the slump of the Cubs, the post-curse breaking hangover. But here they are. They're in first place. If they can get to first place by the All-Star break, then all of a sudden there's confidence. Their payroll is such. I know there's no such thing as cap space in Major League Baseball, but if there were, they'd have it. Their payroll is the lowest in the National League right now at $63 million. So they could add after the break. Riddle better hurry. He does, and he gets the out. But the Brewers take the lead. A walk and a homer, and another homer from Stephen Vogt. After the ball game, the Brewers make some changes here. Orlando Arcia is going to stay in the ball game as short. And into the back of the bullpen now for Milwaukee. And Jacob Barnes is in to face Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, and Justin Bour. Miami down a run here in a low scoring affair. Low scaring affair as well.
The Marlins could turn this around against Barnes. I'd say this would be the #1 reason. It's been a while since he's pitched. 222nd last time he has been able to get out on the mound. Got a good arm, fastball and cutter. 96 to 98 miles an hour. Opponent's only hitting .233 against him.
Yelich threatens the bunt and doesn't like the call and peels away from home plate umpire Alan Porter. It had the plate, and it's right at the letters, right at the very top of the zone. Oh, 2. Marcell Ozuna, Justin Bour will follow. Miami's offense all happened in that 5th inning. JT Realmuto, an infield hit, a stolen base, scored on a Riddle double. Edinson Volquez had a base hit. And then at first and third bunt, beautifully executed by D. Gordon. Riddle scored. The Marlins wish they had that inning back because they had a chance to score more runs. Second and third, and 1 out, and Stanton bounced out to third. After Yelich walked, Garza, in one of the bigger moments of the game, struck out Marcell Ozuna. It was a great at bat for both Ozuna and for Garza. Great battle.
Slider ended up being the deciding factor. Marcell Ozuna chased. In a lot of ways, it's really been the theme tonight from Edinson Volquez, Matt Garza, and the storylines. Talked about the power and the potential to see home runs throughout this series. All the pitchers tonight have really had good control of their secondary pitches, able to work the low zone and expand. At times you'd say that strike zone was probably a little bit bigger than normal.
Cal Bearclaw in Miami's pen. These are pretty good bullpens for relievers here in Milwaukee because they're elevated. You get to see the crowd. It's not like you're hidden. And you have a nice view. It's a nice bench view of
the game.
The game. Now that's the Brewers out in left center field. They get to sit right on the fence. Yelich, a chopper. And an underhand play by VR. It's the first out of the 8th inning. All-Star game coming to Miami. You all know that. It's July 11th. You all know that. It's on Fox. You should know that too. July 11th on Fox Sports. The hope is that guy is in the starting lineup for the 2nd year in a row.
He's got a very good chance of that. Many times you see a game like tonight where teams are playing each other for the first time in a season. The Marlins and Brewers, it's kind of like the initial rounds of a boxing match. Go round and round a little bit, kind of get a feel of how the other team plays its game. What are they all about? Sometimes you'll see some unpredictable, low-scoring game. I mean, I think we would all assume that there's going to be some home runs in this series, and I think you're going to get those home runs. For now, it's still the early rounds.
And 2. Ozuna 1 for 3 tonight. Justin Bour on deck. Roof is open. It has been from the start. This is not a building that cools down, though. I mean, the roof will close on a really hot day with the thunderstorm, and this place really bakes. They can heat this building. You can raise the temperature here about 30 degrees to the outside temperature, but you cannot cool it down. There's no air conditioning here.
Just open the windows.
Swing and a miss.
That's all I got for you. Just open the windows.
We've been here with the windows open and the roof closed, and it's not
helping.
No.
I was used to escaping back to the clubhouse at times for a blast of cold air. Windows open tonight. So far, Barnes on his game.
That is Bernie Brewer's slide in the shot. That contraption is much different than the old Bernie Brewer slide at County Stadium, which was essentially going from a Bavarian chalet into a frosty mug of beer. This looks like some water park adventure. One that I think Jessica Blaylock is interested in experiencing.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Wisconsin is the land of water parks.
Really?
Indoor water parks.
Jessica, you...
So I'm going on the big slide on Sunday. If you remember last season, I went on the little slide, but then I was ostracized by the 4- and 5-year-old community here in Milwaukee. I didn't want to make that mistake again, so I talked to some people. It looks like the slide is a go for Sunday, the one that I'm actually supposed to go on versus the children's one.
And you have Bernie's permission?
Bernie and I, we really hit it off last year, so Bernie's totally cool with it. Bernie suggested it. Bernie's helping me make it happen.
Well, that's reason to watch on Sunday. Bour swings and misses. So that was quick. Marlins go 1-2-3 in the 8th. The Marlins, Coors, and Miller Park gives you this Coors Light cold hard fact. Home road splits. Ah, look at this. Batting average, the same. Runs per game, pretty darn close. Home runs per game, pretty darn close. Not much of a difference. You don't find that in Coors Field. Just to tie it all together. But you do find it at Miller Park. Kyle Bearclaw in for Miami. 3-2, Brewers on top. Gordon, nifty slide, robs Villar of a hit.
Well done. Nice play by D. Gordon. First pitch swinging by VR, hard hit into the hole. So many times we see D able to slide, leg slide, kind of corral that ball and put himself in position at the same time to make the throw, all in conjunction, the out at first base.
Well, this guy is one of the reasons the Brewers are having success this year. And you'll probably see him in Miami at the All-Star game, Corey Knaber, whose ERA is microscopic at 1.16. Has 12 saves and is getting ready for the Marlins in the ninth.
Knebel.
Knebel.
Not Knievel?
Knebel. Not evil Knievel.
Evil Knebel. Well, sometimes, me and you, I'll tell you.
Jesus Aguilar.
It's like the perfect nickname, isn't it? Couldn't help but think that. He's been fantastic for the Brewers. 12 saves on the season. Hitters only hitting 150 against him. Happy birthday to Jesus Aguilar. He turned 27 today.
Whew. That's a big swing.
Like he was trying to give himself a gift right there.
Travis Shaw is the on-deck hitter. Bearclaw after Phelps. Edinson Volquez went 6, gave up a run. Phelps, a leadoff walk in the 7th. And then Stephen Vogt's second homer of the ballgame. Three balls, 2 strikes. Marlins in the 9th. Have Real Muto, Dietrich, Riddle, and then the pitcher spot. Aguilar swings and misses. And here comes Shaw. Bearclaw aggressive here tonight in Milwaukee.
Nice slider. Triggers that hitting mechanism. As a hitter, you're looking out over the plate. Starts out above the knees, ends up just above the shoe tops.
Well, the Marlins last night had a chance to win that series and win the homestand. Seth Lugo and Jose Urena matched up. And it was that 3rd inning with that disputed call at first The 40-foot ground ball hit by Cespedes, the ball off the end of the bat, which was an RBI double for Bruce, and that opened the door for a 3-run inning. And it was one of those games you came away thinking, boy, a bounce here or there, and it's a different ball game. In this one, it's all Stephen Vogt. There's no gray area. Vogt a solo shot and a 2-run homer. Check swing. I think he went. He did.
Marlins built that type of inning themselves against Garza. Scored a couple runs, but there was a few missed opportunities right there in that inning. The Brewers able to keep it close. Well, Stephen Vogt untied this with his 2-run home run.
And Bearclaw strikes out Shaw. Miami down to their last inning and down a run. Florida is brought to you by Southwest Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. (3-2) Brewers, ninth inning arrives. Back in the second, our Bonefish catch of the game. That sliding catch in left by Hernan Perez.
It was a very nice catch earlier in the ballgame. Sliding catch, knows his ballpark, goes to the legs right there so he doesn't run into the wall.
This hard-throwing right-hander of the University of Texas has really had a great start.
Look at the ERA, 1.16. Batting average against everybody, 150. But here's the other thing that stands out. 66 strikeouts in 38 2/3 innings. He's had at least one strikeout in all 39 appearances this season.
And that has tied a major league record for most strikeouts in an appearance with Bruce Sutter, 39. And he stumbles off the mound and comes up and in and misses. 39 appearances with at least one strikeout is tied for the major league record. So if he gets a strikeout here tonight, he sets a major league record and holds it by himself. Right now he shares it with Bruce Sutter. Aroldis Chapman had 37 games in which he had a strikeout 37 consecutive times.
You ask what he features: fastball, curveball, two-pitch guy. See the velocity. One thing leads to another.
And Knebel misses down low, and he's gone 3-0. Obviously, Miami love to get Real Muto on here with the speed. Try to manufacture a run, get something going. And He walks him on 4 pitches here in the 9th. Here comes Derek Dietrich. Knebel originally drafted by Detroit. Texas traded to get him. Then Milwaukee traded to get him from Texas. Marlins Live coming up. Jeff Nelson, Craig Minervini, Jessica Blaylock will be in the clubhouse. We'll have Don Mattingly's post-game press conference. Here's Dietrich. Real Muto at first. Knebel. Marlins got a stolen base out of Real Muto back in the 5th inning. And that is still Vogt behind the plate. He has thrown out less than 15% of base runners this year.
I believe the Marlins have to be active here on the bases.
Dietrich blasts that one in the gap, and it is in the gap. Goes to the wall. Great read by Real Muto, who's streaking around third. Coming to the plate. Throw. He's out. On the relay, Arcia threw a strike to the plate.
That's what makes this play, is the throw from Arcia. No room for error to the left or to the right. More than likely, no room even in front of the plate. This had to be a strike. Watch Perez, quick release to Arcia. Watch this throw. Boom. Great read by JT Real Muto to give himself an opportunity.
And the Marlins are going to challenge this. This is going to be close. You saw that initial look there. Let's see if the hand gets down before the glove hits the hip. Ooh, that's close. That is really close. Advance it just a little bit. Oh, you can't see. You lose the hand in that spot.
Whichever camera angle we keep going to, and it's just the way that it is, you're stuck, blocked out on the other side of it. You want to see his hand and you want to see the glove. Tough to tell. I'm not sure there's enough to overturn it.
That looks like he's tagged before the hand gets the plate. And he's out.
Pretty convincing.
Now Dietrich is still in scoring position, but that's a huge play by Arcia. The Brewers had to be perfect, and they were.
They were perfect. The throw from Arcia, who just entered the game just an inning ago. Frozen rope from short left center field all the way to Vogt at home. Vogt with the tag. We mentioned 66 strikeouts in 38 2/3 innings. You want to know why Freddie sent him right there? JT had a great read, and you've got to know who's on the mound. The best strikeout per 9-inning guy that's out there. You've got to roll the dice. You've got to go for it right there. It forced the Brewers to be 100% perfect, and they were.
Riddle now chases a breaking ball, and he backs out of the box, angry at himself. One. That one fouled back. So there's one out. The Marlins have had the tying run thrown out at the plate. Martin Prado is on deck. It's top 9. Derek Dietrich The runner at second base. Ramos and Wickren are both hopeful they are needed. In the dirt, and Vogt somehow gets a piece of that.
Kept it in front, close enough to home plate where Derek Dietrich could not move up. As a base runner, you're trained in these situations to anticipate the breaking ball in the dirt. See it slides out. Corrals it, keeps it in front.
2-2. Fastball in. Crowd wanted it. Alan Porter with the call. And it was in.
Good take by JT Riddle. Be tough on the road at times to deal with that. Crowd gets into it. You start to feel the momentum.
Yeah, how do you
do everything in your power to just make it you and him, you and the mound, you and that arm slot, you and the baseball, just drown out everything else that's going on around you in this key spot of a ball game.
You've got one of the hottest closers in baseball, and Corey Knebel. As Todd has documented, strikeouts aplenty for this guy. He's 3-2 on JT Riddle. And he got him.
Back to the curveball. Out over home plate. Above the zone, or I should say in the zone, above the knees. Wipeout down below the knees for JT Riddle.
Now they're on their feet, and it's Martin Prado who gets the at-bat. Prado, an off night tonight. He was 2 for 4 last night with an RBI single. Dietrich has a healthy lead at second. Outfield is not very deep. Prado gets a look at the curveball.
Effective pitch, he can throw it for a strike. Nothing about Martin Prado's at-bat would say he's going to sit on a first pitch curveball from somebody throwing 97 miles an hour.
Ball one. Knebel last year had an ERA close to 5.
Figured a few things out.
Yeah, he's a different guy.
Martin Prado outstanding last year in this situation with runners in scoring position, well over 360.
With that strikeout, Knebel now has the major league record of 40 consecutive appearances with a strikeout.
Miller Park on their feet.
Vogt held it. Prado flinched, but Alan Porter didn't call it.
I flinched as well.
It's up. That could have gone either way. And it's 3-1. Derek Dietrich still at second base. That's the tying run. Realmuto thrown out at the plate on the Dietrich double. D. Gordon is on deck. Three-1 in. Prado walks. And now it's Gordon. And Knebel will face his 5th hitter of the inning.
Fastball way inside. Should Martin Prado. Handful of breaking balls that at bat.
Gordon is 0 for 3. He's knocked in a run with a sacrifice bunt. You see Jose Urena pinch running for Prado. And Knebel misses on his first pitch to Gordon. And the crowd, who's been up on their feet for a while, growing a little restless. They want to see a punch out and the fireworks. Marlins trying to stay alive. That's a strike, and that may have been a gift.
That was a gift. That ball's outside the strike zone. Way outside the strike zone.
That's a big call. The first one was low. That one was up and out, and the count's 1-1. If Gordon lines one into the outfield, it's not a sure thing that Dietrich scores, because the Brewers outfield is very, very shallow, especially in left with Perez and in center with Broxton.
And they're shading that way. Shading towards left, as you see Broxton sliding over. He's just off Garcia's left shoulder.
Gordon chases. That pitch up, and it's 2-2.
He hasn't seen a strike yet.
That is strike 3, right down the middle. And the Brewers win it. Knebel with some help from his defense. The relay throw by Arcia that nails Real Muto at the plate. And the tall right-hander out of Texas wobbles, but he gets the save.
Now the one strike in all the sequence. Effectively gets it at the knees. D. Gordon see nothing but pitches up in the zone.
Milwaukee comes from behind. A big night for Stephen Vogt. 2 homers account for all 3 runs. Marlins Live is next.